I was at the flea markets this morning sourcing for one of our client projects in Northern California, and I turned to my side and who do I see? None other than Kelly Wearstler. It was such a moment of like, this is proof that this is where the world's best designers are sourcing to really elevate and curate their client projects. And the good news is you can too. In this video, I'm going to break down the fleas as best I can, where to go, how to bargain, how to shop, what to shop for. And after watching this video, you are going to be able to tackle the fleas just like a pro. Hi, if this is your first time here, my name is Chloe LeGras. I'm the founder and principal designer of Boxwood Avenue. I'm a Paris-based American interior designer, a design team in the States. We work on projects all throughout the United States and of course in France as well. I also host antiquing trips all throughout Europe, so if you're interested in joining me, we'll be launching tickets for our 2027 trips very soon. When I first started sourcing at the fleas, I couldn't really grasp that they're only open on the weekends. Like that just didn't register to my American mind. And now I completely understand the flea markets and brocants are actually kind of like part of the French culture, and it just happens on the weekends. It's definitely a leisurely weekend thing to do. So they really are only open on weekends. Additionally, when you hear people talk about the French fleas or les puces or le marché are terms for these types of flea markets, but les Puces de St are the markets of the town of Saint Ouen, which is located just outside the city of Paris. And if you've not been, you should know that going out to Saint Ouen, the surrounding area is a little bit seedy, but once you get into the antiquing part of Saint Ouen, it's very safe, it's fine. Definitely watch your things, but you won't be unsafe there. I've had a few people on my Instagram comment that they wish that they would have known that, so I just wanted to share that. Saint Ouen is the largest, and I'll circle back to that, but then there's another smaller market that happens every weekend called Ouen, and that's on the opposite side of the city. It's a little bit more low-key. That one's like cash only. I'll talk a little bit about that one too. But if you are coming to Paris and you really want to do some shopping, I suggest heading to Saint Ouen. So Saint Ouen, like I said, is kind of this little suburb outside of Paris, but the flea markets are located basically just on one street. And I generally like to start at Paul Bert-Serpette and then work my way toward Verneuil. And I have a Google map. I'll put the link in the caption if you want this handy for when you're heading out that way. Paul Bert-Serpette is one of my favorites because the prices are decently approachable. You can certainly, I got this piece there. You can certainly find things that you can bring home that are costs, not going to break the bank. But they're a little bit more elevated and a little bit more curated. So I generally like shopping there first because if I'm looking for something specific, that's where I'm finding the nicest things. Then I'll start to make my way through all of the other markets towards Verneuil, just kind of weaving in and out. And what you should know is that as you go up the street, it's getting a little bit less and less expensive as you go. So by the time you make it to Verneuil, that's more of the bric-a-brac where you really only pay with cash. You'll typically be bringing those things home and you'll find small pieces like glassware and entertaining. And it's very important, do not be afraid to bargain or negotiate. If they tell you a price is say 2,500 euro, I would ask them, is that your export price or is that your best price? And that's going to signal that you are more of a professional shopping and they'll typically give you a better price. Now, when you're buying, you might be wondering, how the heck am I going to get this stuff home? So there is shipping on site and many of the vendors will assist in this. But if you are going to be doing a lot of buying and you know this ahead of time, you'll definitely want to reach out ahead of time to a shipper like Edet or Canard. There are many. And they'll give you a sticker book where you will be tagging all of the items that you buy. They will go pick up those items, crate them up, and plan for shipping back to the States. You can of course ship via container, but many people are not filling up a container because they are huge. In the past, I've done a lot of air ship for clients and I've really enjoyed that process, especially if we're not buying all that much, but buying art and accessories and being able to ship it back very easily and efficiently. If you're sourcing specifically for your home and you want to be bringing home a lot of things, you will find fireplace mantles, architectural details, all alongside little knickknacks like my little swan. You will find it all. And yes, this is where designers are sourcing these incredible old world pieces to be bringing back into their client projects in the States. This is what we do, and it really will elevate your home. And it's one of the things that I feel so grateful that we have clients really trust us to be sourcing all of these things, buying them on the spot, and then integrating them into their projects. There is a lot of ground to cover. You could spend multiple days there. So that's why I think it is important to have some idea of what you're looking for. A key tip of shopping is is to be able to curate your taste and understand that when you walk in somewhere, generally each place will will have like a vibe, you know, like any shop, and really have discernment if you're going to find something that you like or if you should move on, because if you don't move on quickly, you will spend so much time in places that you don't really like and not actually finding anything that you want to bring home with you. One of the things I love most is that you'll see the vendors sitting down, having a proper lunch with a glass of wine. They all come together and it's all kind of one big family. My friend Sarah, who owns Chateau Sonoma in Sonoma, of course, she has her annual French Flea, and she really wanted to bring this energy into the United States because it is so special. It really is like a family. So don't be afraid to talk to each vendor, get to know them. I love doing this. You'll start to learn a lot more about each piece by doing this. That being said, a lot of prices are not marked, and a lot of vendors will be kind of babysitting each other's stalls. So if you don't see somebody in the stall, you can just ask the vendor next door, hey, what's the price on this? And then they'll generally have to call somebody, get the price. So it does take a little bit of time, but it's totally worth it. One of my favorite things to buy at the flea markets is artwork. And I truly believe that art is one of the best ways to, especially, you know, one-of-a-kind art. It doesn't have to be overly expensive. It can be something like a wall tapestry. It can be a piece of loose leaf art that then you frame in an interesting way. This is for a client, and I'm envisioning it like a navy linen mat with a more contemporary frame to kind of create tension between the imperfect kind of nature of the piece and then like a more contemporary frame, like I said. But art is just such an easy thing to get home. It's very easy to source, and it's really personalized to you. So that's going to make your space feel so much more curated, and I think it's one of the easiest things to bring into your home, because a lot of people think, well, I don't know like where I'd put that. I just don't know what I'm really looking for. And that's one of my first tips is, well, twofold. You don't always have to know what you're looking for. It is nice in general. Like if I'm sourcing for a client, I want measurements. We already have elevations, or we have a space plan where I know what I'm looking for, but we always leave room for those of the moment sort of whimsical finds. Like today, my friend Nadia found this beautiful artwork. It was like framed pearls and framed like oyster shells. It was very cool, and it just spoke to her. She was like, I am obsessed with this. I love it. I'm going to find a place for it. So if you find something that you love and you don't know where you're going to put it, I promise you, just buy it. You will find a place. As a designer, I'm always looking for things that maybe don't seem that they belong together. I don't generally like sourcing very typically French things. Of course we do. I really like to find a mid-century lamp and then pair it with something that's a little bit more ornate to create that tension and to create a much more interesting space. So when you're shopping at the Fleas, I really encourage you to keep an open mind and look beyond what you would typically be sourcing or typically be thinking for your home, and find something fresh and new to bring home with you. That said, art is such an easy thing to get home, as I mentioned before, as is fabric. Fabric is a great way to be able to integrate some texture and pattern and color into your space that you're not going to find in the States. I also love sourcing glassware, silver, and all the interesting entertaining pieces that we don't have in the States, because I think it's so fun that when you have a dinner party to have these sort of curated things, and it's such a good conversation starter. This is the exact advice I give to all of our guests when we're hosting our antiquing trips throughout Europe, and it is so much fun to see what everybody finds. I think that's all for now. I have had the most amazing week. My friend Nadia is visiting. We went down to Saint-Tropez. I had some client work, went to the flea markets today to be sourcing for that project in Northern California. I cannot wait to share more with you. And then I'm gonna head to the Tuileries for a little picnic this evening. It's a beautiful Sunday in Paris, and I hope that you're having a great week yourself. Thank you so much for being here, for following along. If this was your first time here, please subscribe before you go.